wholesaling is essentially middlemaning real estate without having to have a license, okay? You're essentially out there functioning as a real estate business, and you're finding assets and you're connecting buyers and sellers together, okay? And you collect a fee in the middle called your wholesale fee. So let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons of both. What's up, everybody? Listen, in this video, I'm about to clear the air on what I didn't even realize was a very sought after topic in the real estate industry, okay? This week, I'm hosting a 5-day real estate challenge that I do monthly. And in it, several of the attendees asked a question about wholesaling. I thought that most people knew that you could wholesale both off market as well as on the MLS, but I stand corrected. Many people didn't realize that you can wholesale from the MLS. And so I want to just break down both to show you the pros and cons and what you have the ability to do if in fact you choose to go out and participate in wholesaling. Wholesaling is essentially middlemaning real estate without having to have a license, okay? You're essentially out there functioning as a real estate business, and you're finding assets and you're connecting buyers and sellers together, okay? And you collect a fee in the middle called your wholesale fee. So let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons of both, all right? So off-market wholesale, one of the biggest pros is that you can go direct to seller, okay, or direct to owner. All right, and what that means is you can actually run marketing campaigns, right? Ringless voicemails, SMSs, mailers. You can door knock, whatever. You can basically send out communication to people to ask them if they would be interested in selling their property to you, okay? Now, this is a big benefit because many people don't even know that they want to sell their property. Part of your marketing strategy is to educate and communicate to them in such a way to entice them to want to sell their property. Now, when doing so, you oftentimes not dealing with real estate investors on the opposing side who happens to be this homeowner or the seller. So that gives you an advantage because they're less likely to understand necessarily the real data in that market, right? They may know the temperature of the real estate climate in general just because so many people talk about it, but they won't know the specificity of what their home is valued at and all these other things. Now, that gives you a bit of an advantage because now you can come in and educate them on what their home is worth and, you know, what you can possibly give to them in the form of a transaction, right? What you'd be willing to buy it for. This can be a huge advantage in pursuit of going out and wholesaling properties, because if you can get it at a lower price, as opposed to if you're dealing with an investor, they're more inclined to want to negotiate with you and then drive up whatever your purchase price is, okay? One of the other benefits is more people, and let me even take it a step further, more investors want to buy off market, right? More investors want to buy off market because they feel like they'll get better deals off market, okay? So, you know, if you a wholesaler and you're dealing with another investor, they may say, is it off market? Because I only buy off market deals, right? And there's a lot of other nuance. I won't get too far in the weeds as to why some of them do that, especially if they're buying a larger asset, commercial, multifamily, et cetera, because there's different strategy they can use to try to keep their tax exposure lower from doing the deal off market versus buying something that's on market, right? Because when you do things on market, it triggers other things that happen on the other side of that. But I digress. One of the other benefits, again, is that you could find more buyers, more investors in the marketplace that's willing to buy your property because it's an off-market property, okay? Now, let's talk about the cons for a second. Now, some of the cons are you actually have to go out and generate the lead somehow, okay? Which means that could be capital intensive up front or very labor intensive or both, right? So you got to go out and pull lists. You got to figure out what people you should market to, how you should market to them, and all of that costs money. So one of the cons is that it could be capital intense up front. right? Could be capital intensive up front. So you got to be careful of that. If you're not really in a liquidity position, then, you could have some challenges by going out and trying to wholesale off market initially. Okay. Another challenge could be, and I would say this is a con on both sides, but you're not getting good data. Okay. You're not getting good data. And that could be a myriad of things. That could be from marketing data. That could be from the time that you actually get the property under contract with said owner, that maybe they're not even really the owner. Because on the other side, which I'll explain here in a minute, you have a third party liaison in the middle called a real estate agent. Okay. So you're actually, you're bypassing that real estate agent and you're becoming that real estate expert in the process. Well, guess what? If all of a sudden the seller gave you bad information and you thought that you had a clear insurable warranty deed that you can go out and sell this property to another investor, to only find out that it's been quitclaim deeded 3 different times and there's a break in the chain of title, and you don't discover these things, well, now you got this property locked up, you got a buyer hot and ready in the form of an investor, and you can't make good on your commitment to them because you don't have a good property, right? A clean insurable warranty deed. So one of the disadvantages is that you can have bad data. All right. Now, one of the pros of wholesaling from the MLS is that while you aren't direct to seller or direct to owner, you aren't paying for marketing. You're not paying for marketing. Okay, because the multiple listing service is the largest database nationwide that all real estate agents get to access. When you show up with a real estate agent as if you're going to be their client as a buyer, okay, because that's the way you're going to position yourself as a buyer, they're able to go and access all these properties. So on the off-market side, you have to go and generate your own leads. When you wholesale from the MLS, all the leads are already there. It's pre-existing. So another benefit to that is that you have agent involved. Now, y'all gonna probably try to flame me in the comments, okay? And that's okay, I want y'all to comment. But having an agent involved, if you're new to wholesaling and you don't really know all the moving parts, well, I just told you how on the off-market side, you can be exposed because you could have bad data, you don't got a good, clean, insurable title, and now you can't move that property. Well, when you have an agent involved, a good agent is going to already talk to the selling agent or the list agent of the seller to make sure that all those things are in order, right? Do you got a clean, insurable, marketable title, right? Do you have a good title that could be a warranty title, right? So they're going to do a lot more of that due diligence for you that you may not even be aware that you need to do, okay? Now, one of the cons for being on the MLS. That you got an agent involved, okay? So what happens is agents, right, typically they just don't have a good working understanding of what wholesaling is. And so when people fear things, they typically default into something negative about them, all right? And so having an agent involved, if they understand from the beginning that you're wholesaling and they don't understand what wholesaling is, they automatically gonna withdraw from that situation, okay? They're gonna tell you that it's wrong, that it's probably illegal, and it's gonna be a negative thing, which is why you don't go into the situation establishing yourself as a wholesaler. You go into it as if you plan on buying an investment property. Just during that process, you may deem to wholesale that property. And so what happens is they have what's called an A to B transaction, okay? So the seller being A, you being B is the buyer. You put the property under contract. Once you get the property under contract, you use what's called an assignment of contract, which is a separate document that you will have if you were an educated wholesaler. You will then assign your equitable interest in that A to B contract to your B to C buyer, okay? You in effect become the middle person, and when C sends the money to close A, then you get what's in between. So let's just say, right, that you got this A to B under contract for 100,000, and then B to C, you gave it to them for 120. So when they pay the 120, the 100 goes to the B to A contract, and you get the $20,000 from the B to C. That's wholesaling, okay? In its simplest form, that's wholesaling. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? So it's important that you go into the situation and your agent knows about the A to B while you put the B to C together. Now, after you do this a couple of times with your agent, I'm sure that they'll become aware of how seamless the process can be, as well as the fact that it don't interrupt their commission. When you close, the agent is still getting the same 3% that they were going to get regardless of whether you bought it or somebody else bought it. When they finally get that realization, now you got a partner and an ally, and they'll do more wholesale deals with you. But when you breaking the agent in, more often than not, you don't want to disclose that up front, because that'll be the fastest way for them to pull out of the deal and think that you're a criminal, okay? Now, one of the other drawbacks from wholesaling from the MLS is buyers want off-market deals, okay? I'm a buyer who don't care if it's on market or off market, okay? I just don't care. Like, I think oftentimes when people say that, they're just saying it because they heard somebody else in society say it, and they're just trying to be cool when they say it. The truth is, if you could bring me a good deal that fits my criteria, whether it's off the MLS or it's off market, I want to buy it, right? If it's got clean, insurable warranty deed and it fit my criteria, I'm interested in buying that deal. Now, one reason I will say in fairness why a lot of investors don't want to buy on market is because they never want to feel like they're also overpaying for a property, okay? So let's just say that $120,000 property in the previous illustration was listed on a multiple listing on the MLS for 110, right? Now you got it under contract for 100,000 and you giving it to, let's use me now, for 120. But I can see, because it's public, right? I can see that it's listed on the MLS at 110. So what does that tell me? Well, clearly it tells me at minimum you're making $10,000. And who knows at maximum based on whatever you got it under contract for, which in this illustration is $100,000. So you got, $20,000 that you're really playing with, and from what my eyes can see, at least 10. I don't care about that. I never care about how much money the other person is making. I care about how much money can I make in result of getting it at whatever price. All investors don't think that way. A lot of them short-sighted. They think scarcity instead of abundance. I want you to get your money. I want you to be happy. So as long as you're happy and we make good deals and we close quickly, like, we're going to do a lot of those, right? There's some wholesalers that I bought 50, 60 properties from, varying from just one person, varying from on market, off market. Don't matter to me. Is it a good deal? Is it not a good deal? Okay. So that's one of the disadvantages of wholesaling from the MLS. Oftentimes, for most buyers, to appeal to most buyers, if they're willing to do it, you will have to get it below and wholesale it below whatever the property is on the MLS for, because they feel better. So if it's on the MLS at 110 and you offer it to them for 105, they feel like they got a deal, right? Because you may have gotten it under contract for 90 and you did it at 105 instead of the 110 that is listed. So it's nuanced. It's nuanced to all of it. But what I can tell you, when it comes down to a least path of resistance way of getting started, when it comes down to if you don't have a lot of capital and you just running around following gurus and you trying to go off market, it's the fastest way to lose some money. It's the fastest way to lose some money and get hurt, because that marketing is a black hole. And if it doesn't hit and you don't have your infrastructure set up and you don't have the scripts and the ability to go in and lock up those deals, you just burning through a lot of money and then you broke, right? So if you get the skill to know how to navigate the MLS and navigate around the realtor, in which I explained to you, then you can start to build up your liquidity and then pivot into off market if you like to. If this video was helpful, please go share, like, comment, turn your notification bell on, and more importantly, go to www.iflipchallenge.com and sign up for your seat, because I teach stuff like this and way more over a 5-day period, and you get to pick my brain in real time. All right, I see you guys in the challenge, and I'll certainly see you in the next video.